it has drastically reduced to 45,699,000. Wireless mining technical services, in 2023 they had 52,140,000. In 2023 they had 133,455. And as such, this committee chairperson is of the view that maybe funds from mines technical services can be varied and be taken to mine safety and health estimates, especially with the various accidents experiencing under the mining sector, including the so-called Jelabo accidents. Chairperson and honorable members, the committee observed that in order for the country to increase copper production from the average production of about 800,000 tons per annum to 3 million tons by the year 2030, there is need for the government to put in place a Minerals Regulation Commission to regulate the operations in the mining sector. In this regard, the committee urges the executive to ensure that the enactment of the Minerals Regulation Commission bill is finalized without delay. Chairperson, with regard to gold trading and the committee observes that modalities and avenues for gold trading are uncoordinated and therefore urges the government to urgently formulate the modalities and avenues to avoid illegal trading and loss of revenue. This measure should be given urgent attention by the reallocation of some funds resources from mines development towards this sector. As I have said, chairperson, the net gain, chairperson, will be the realization of a legally structured market providing assurance of revenue from the gold trading transactions and contributing to the building of national gold reserves. Head number 33, chairperson, Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. With regard to head 33, the committee observes that the 2025 budget allocation for the ministry is not adequate due to a reduction in the allocation to non-personal emoluments by 31.6% from 44.5 million to 30.5 million. As such, it will affect full implementation of key programs such as the establishment of the electric vehicle battery value chain, operationalization of socio-economic zones, trade facilitation, and coordinated border management. In view of this, the committee is that some funds be moved from the Zambia Development Agency, ZDA, to go towards the key highlighted areas. Chairperson, head number 37, Ministry of Finance and National Planning. Under 837, the committee observes that funding to the monitoring and evaluation program in the 2025 budget has reduced. However, the committee is of the strong view that the realization of this program be undertaken together with development planning coordination, as they two programs depended on each other. Therefore, the ministry is urged to consider merging the implementation of the two programs. The committee chairperson further urges for strengthening of monitoring and evaluation, which should closely be aligned to risk management to enhance the efficiency and effective execution of programs and projects to ensure value for money. Chairperson, head 99, and the last head that this committee were considering under constitutional and statutory expenditure. Chairperson and honorable members, under constitutional and statutory expenditure, the committee observes and recommends as follows. 1. That head 99 caters for supply and charged expenditure due to constitutional provisions. In view of this, the committee is of the view that this head must be exclusive to charged expenditure, such that parliamentary approval will only be restricted to spending lines that must be paid to maintaining the sovereignty and solvency of the state, such as debt obligations and the costs of key constitutional post holders. 2. The committee observed that the domestic debt service sub-program has a proposed allocation of 37 billion, which is the amount needed to pay interest costs arising from government's domestic borrowing operations, mainly from issuing government securities, and that is treasury bills and bonds, through the Bank of Zambia. This compares to a total of 32 million budgeted for in 2024 for such domestic interest costs. However, the committee is of the view that that these figures only include interest costs and there is no amortization of domestic debt factored in. The committee therefore urges the government to exercise caution as these measures will still not improve liquidity on the domestic market. Therefore, constructing economic growth, the committee also urges the government to ensure that measures are put in place that will enable Zambians to have access to financial resources to sustain their livelihoods. Chairperson, the committee further recommends for the timely disbursement of domestic debt allocations to enhance liquidity in the market to support the increase of economic activities. The government should remodel the dismantling of domestic debt to create a pathway of inducing a stimulus in the domestic economy. Chairperson, honorable members, I beg to move.
Thank you very much for that submission, honorable members. Any questions? Okay, page honorable Jamba. Is that an indication? Okay. Vice, is that a question? You have a question? Okay, sure. Honorable Margaret.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Chair, for the well elaborate and the presentation. Taking you back to page 8 of the report, where recommending that the Mineral Regulation Authority Commission bill should be done as soon as possible. I think this is the bill which came to Parliament last sitting and it was deferred. Looking at the time we remain with not more than 5 weeks for Parliament to adjourn again. When do you think will be the best time for this bill to come back to Parliament? I thank you.
Honorable Chairperson of the Expanded Committee, allow me to ask any of my committee members to help respond to such questions.
Sure.
Honorable
thank you. Clearly, honorable member for Kankoyo, if possible, we need that bill as soon as yesterday. We need this Minerals Regulation Authority in place for a number of reasons. I'm sure you've seen the numbers in terms of material, especially mineral export that we are doing as a nation. It is this commission that will make sure that what we are exporting is what is reported. At the moment, if you look at a number of companies, go and ask them, including Barrick Lumwana, Kansanshi, KCM, we are exporting our minerals in raw form. As much as they process, further processing is done outside this country. Even the payments, if you are to check the books of these companies, you find that gold, for example, is being extracted outside this country and payments are being done into their overseas accounts. But once we have this commission in place, all those matters will be addressed. We know we passed this bill as members of parliament, but it was not assented by the head of state. It was sent back to parliament and the parliament sat to scrutinize it. So for us, we are recommending that let this bill be brought as soon as possible so that this commission is put in place and it starts operating. So for us, we are urging the government, if possible, 3 weeks is enough. We are saying we're remaining with very few weeks. It's enough for us to pass this bill, especially that it was already passed. Probably it's just a few amendments that made the head of state not to assent to it. So that is our observation and recommendations, Honorable Chair. Thank you. Any other questions, Honorable Jamba?
Thank you so much. I wanted to get a response from the ministry itself over the issue of the geological, the mine safety issues. Because if you notice, just within this week, last week, there was an accident in Chingola and another one yesterday. No, the Saturday one, someone, is it Saturday or Friday? Someone died in Chingola, actually, is my relative, but they died. So then another one happened. Now, the safety of the mines somewhere has actually reduced so much. What was the response? What did they say is in reducing the money? How are they going to work so that the mines are monitored strictly? Thank you.
Thank you. Can you respond to that?
Thank you very much. I can see that the team that I have equal to the task. I would have responded, but in fact, Chairperson, I even highlighted, I gave the statistics in terms of figures as to why even this committee is of the view that what Honorable Jamba said is the right way to go. If you look at the mine safety and health environment allocations, this committee is saying that the money is too little to take care of what is happening in the mining sector, especially that the UPND government, the government is actually propounding that we should increase the copper production from the 800,000 metric tons to 3 million metric tons by the year 2030. And this entails that there will be a lot of mining activities taking place. And as such, we expect the mine safety and health environment to be on the to be on the run. So the 45 million that was allocated to them, we are saying this is too little compared to what was allocated to them in 2023, which was 126,644. 2024, 382 million, Chairperson, 125. And then what a drastic drop from 382 to 45 million. So we are saying, looking at the activities of the mining sector, this is not adequate. That's why this committee is proposing that we vary some funds from the mines technical services, which has got a budget of over 131 million. So that maybe we can put some funds on the safety component. And I'm sure even the Minister of Mines themselves also concurred with this proposition.
Okay.
I submit, Chair.
Thank you. So in terms of that recommendation, we are recommending that some funds be removed from
mines technical services. Yes, Chair.
When you are interacting with the technocrats, did they indicate of how much do they need to move from there, since this is a budget aspect and we need to have the figures? How much is needed?
I'll ask Honorable Chilundika to respond to that, and Honorable Mungandi, if he has got anything you add on that, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Though I may not get directly to these figures, our observation was that most of the mines have got the in-house technical services provided, unlike the safety aspect of it. That is why we resolved to say that if the safety aspect was given to the Ministry of Mines, then government would take charge to ensure that safety standards are observed as they are operating. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just in addition, we followed these budgets year by year basis. If you look at in 2023, the allocation to mine safety, health and environmental issues was about 126 million. In 2024, it was 382 million. If you look at this sudden jump, it was because of the project and remediation project, which was funded by the World Bank, which has since, I think, discontinued. Then in 2025, they've gone to a paltry 45 million, Chair. And yet, if you look at the pronouncements by this new Dawn government, they are saying they want to increase copper output, as the chairman had indicated. From the, I know the figures, colleagues, are still going down, because the production has still levels in our copper industry have continued dwindling. It's no longer maybe 800 and something as we speak. It's going down. But the projection is that we are supposed to have 3 million. How can we have 3 million? At the same time, we are talking about the formalization of the other mining sectors, such as the gold sector, the gemstone sector. To formalize this, it will mean oversight on their activities. We need to check, they need to ensure that what is happening in a safe environment for the miners. And we've been recording serious fatalities. Apart from what happened on the Copper Belt, just a few weeks ago in Mumba, we are burying our brothers there at a very large scale. I think we lost more than 10 lives there in reality. Then KCM, in a period of, I think, 4 days, 2 days, we are losing 2 lives. It is against this background that we said mines technical services. For us, government is not in the business of mining, and this is a reality. Government is more in a business of supervisory to ensure that the citizens who are doing the mining are doing it in a very safe environment.
Okay.
It is against this analysis, Chair, that we recommended the subtraction of about 80,945,155 from this program, Mines Technical Services, so that we leave about 50 million, which is still way above what they had allocated for mine safety, so that mine safety should be given that priority. If there is any donor lobbying by the central government, let them lobby towards the Mines Technical Services. We would have already taken care of mine safety and healthy environment allocation, Chair. We submit.
Okay. So I heard you mentioning some figures. What's basically what this committee wants is you need to give us those figures for variations. As I said, because we wanted, when we are engaging the minister, to be specific in terms of the amounts, and I think we're having our last discussion with the minister sometime next week. So if the technicals can also give Honorable Jamba, we'll stop the collapse, sir. Sorry. So we still need those specific figures for variations within those movements as we are sitting. If you can give us that either tomorrow by Tuesday, that week, okay.
We have those figures right away, Chair.
So we need those.
You'll be given before we leave.
Thank you. When I move by, so you had a hand.
Maybe, Chair, for me, I just want to take the committee to petroleum exploration. Chair, which is page 4. Chair, if you look at Zambia, we started the petroleum exploration a long time ago, maybe at the same time with Tanzania, Uganda. But when you look at what has happened in Uganda and Kenya, our colleagues pursued this very vigorously, and they found it. And in Tanzania, Chairman, already...
Honorable Scholar. Can go ahead.
The pipelines have already been constructed, and today Tanzania, which used to have so much load shedding, today they have surplus power because of the gas that they found. What I want to check with the committee chairperson is, in their conversation with the ministry, to what extent did they pursue this matter around petroleum exploration? Because we have got blocks in the northwestern, Ruapula, northern province, but we seem to have been doing this exploration for a long time. And even when you look at the money in terms of budget, 850, is it 850,000 or 850? I don't know. 850,000, isn't it? Is it a million or? Huh? 850. No, colleagues, it should be 850,000. It's not a million. It's thousand. So, Chairman, if you look at the budget allocation of 850,000, honestly, where can it take us in terms of pursuing this particular agenda on the petroleum, exploration subsector? So we want to find out from our colleagues whether they had a conversation with the minister on this particular aspect. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will allow Honorable Mungandu to take that question.
Thank you, Honorable Mavumba. Indeed, I personally questioned the ministry, considering that this mineral exploration, if you remember, those of us who have seen better days, there was a project in I think 1980, 87, 88 up to about 90 under Placid. Honorable Chair, I need to be protected from...
Well protected, Honorable.
You were a small girl at Tengero, I remember.
Order, Mungandu.
If you see, we brought to their attention that why have we not continued oil exploration? I'm sure if you remember in late 1980s, we had Placid company that was exploring oil in Chama, and I reminded them, Honorable Chair, that they drilled up to a certain depth. Then if you follow Kaunda's sentiments, because we were pioneers for the freedom liberation of struggle in sub-Saharan Africa, our colleagues who had the technical know-how felt that should this man Kaunda have oil, he will even become stronger to help liberate the entire Africa. And they just abandoned. It's not that they did not find oil there. They left, I think, a depth of about 280 meters. That's what we are being told, for them to hit the wells in that area. According to the submission by the ministry, they indicated that that area still remains active. Actually, the block is under the we call it ZCCMIH holdings. We asked if there's a possibility for them to lease out. They could not be categorical, and we warned to say, look, even these precious minerals, it is the citizens themselves that are discovering them, not as a deliberate policy from government operations. If you go to Kanyerere, where we are discovering gold, Kasenseri, Mpika, it is not the government. It's the citizens themselves who are discovering these minerals. According to their response, they are saying, no, they first have to capacitate the technical services. Actually, that's how they argued to say they had increased the level of the amount of money on the technical services. So that is the reason, Chair, why as a committee we still felt that as much as you are saying you want to capacitate technical services, you are outsourcing foreign. We argued, Chair, that it's foreign services that are involved. Why can't you, in exploration, invite the private sector to play a critical role? Wow, the ministry just play the oversight role to ensure that what is being explored is what is being discovered. So we did bring this to the attention of the ministry, and for them they are saying we need to capacitate their technical department for them to carry out these operations, and we agreed with them, although much I think needs to be done. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. The last one, is that an Honorable, you would want to ask? Okay, Honorable Mabeta. Okay.
Thank you very much, Chair. I want to take the committee to page 22, where they've observed that 37 billion has been 32. 37 billion has been allocated for payment of interest on government domestic borrowing, mainly from the bonds the government issued through Bank of Zambia. Wow, very little has been allocated to the 72 billion domestic arrears for supply of goods and services. Hence, this may not really have an impact on the stimulating of the local economy. So I wanted to find out from the committee, what amount are they proposing should be allocated toward the dismantling of the 72 billion kwacha, which is currently being owed to supply of goods and services. And thank you.
Vice Chairperson, can I respond to that?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable Mungandu, you can take that.
Honorable Member for Kankoyo, this is the reality that we are facing as a nation. When the head of state says that had we not restructured our debt, the entire budget for this year. That is the recurrent expenditure, the money that we are paying for civil servants, teachers, doctors, our security agencies, PCP, CDF, all of it should have gone for debt servicing. This is the reality. The fact that the debt has been restructured, but we are supposed to pay the interest. What we are not paying, certain debt instruments, is the principal. But we have interest that has accrued. The best way approach to this issue which we raised, and the minister was very categorical when the Minister of Finance, when they appeared before our committee, that colleagues, when you borrow, you have to pay back, and the country has to pay back. As much as we are lamenting here that for domestic debt arrears dismantling, the amount is very little. I'm sure you're aware that actually it's about 5 billion kwacha out of above 70 billion that we are supposed to pay arrears to in terms of stimulation of our economy to the people or institutions that are owed by the government. Here there was a proposal, Chair, that the only way, I think, as citizens we can stabilize our economy is by all of us being engaged in production. We need to build our economy by being engaged in production. Formalization of, for example, the mineral subsector, like the gold. You'll be interested to know, Chair, and the honorable members, that Zambia is the second largest exporter of gemstones in the world. But look at the amount of money that we are getting from that subsector. And not only that, out of 200 and something companies that are active in the mining sector, I think only 2 are paying taxes. Okay. So the reality is when the government is making certain policy pronouncements, I think as citizens, especially all of us who are politicians, we should be able to put our political interest aside and look at the national interest by embracing. And these are things that we should be able to start as members of parliament explaining, honorable colleagues, to citizens out there that we are in this debt situation. Whether we like it or not, when you borrow, you have to pay. Okay. And this government has put up a program to dismantle these arrears slowly. At the same time, they've indicated that should the situation improve, I'm sure you know we are grappling with the drought situation which we've never, this country has never experienced. We pray that this year, and we should pray hard, because we are told this La Nina that was supposed to bring the rains is weakening, meaning we might not have the rains that we anticipated. So we should go into serious prayers so that our economy can start recovering, then it will have the resilience to generate revenue for dismantling of domestic debt. I submit, Honorable Chair.
I know, yeah, the question was, but anyway, we'll take that. But I want, these 2 ministries, we have talked more on the Ministry of Mines, but also there is the head number 33, Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. All these, I think, their lamentation are to the effect that the funding is not enough. But also you are aware, Vice Chairperson, with your team, that these could be the big movers in terms of the revenue part. And in your report, we have not seen anywhere where, for example, the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry is indicating the avenues where they are thinking they can generate the revenue that which is needed. What is worrying basically this committee is that almost everyone is on the spending side. But if you look at the Ministry of Trade and the Commerce, Trade and Industry, you agree with me that this is a ministry in fact which should have been driving this economy in terms of resource mobilization. A lot of informalities is happening now in terms of trade. Just go to Kalingalinga. Mungambi have indicated that we have so many mining licenses, and out of that one you are indicating about 2 or so are only contributing to the. So we expected more in terms of what are they doing, as much as they want. So I wanted to just find out. We have not seen anything in terms of what are they doing in terms of resource mobilization, revenue generation for this country, especially the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Well, I mean, Minister of Trade, Commerce, Trade and Industry for a long time. This I've been talking about. You know, those, I don't know how I can, but you know, these technocrats, they have all those nice ways they are talking about value chain addition, and year in and year out. Okay, but all those pronouncements must add to the realization of our resource mobilization going up. If you check, for example, under the Commerce, Trade and Industry, this is what they are saying, and I'll read because this is what you have put. Say the committee observes with concern that the 2025 budget allocation for the ministry is not adequate, and I'll jump. Then it says because of that, it will affect full implementation of key programs such as the establishment of the electric vehicle battery value chain, authorization of special economic zones, trade facilitation and coordinated border management, among others. These are critical, and they want to allude to. But you know, there are those simple things like, as we said, the informality that which you see in the market. These are the people who give you licenses, isn't it? These traders, what are they doing? Because there are a lot of people now who are engaged in business, but they are not paying any tax. Is it tax or tax to the government? So I wanted you to make a call. Did you get any from these two, at least these two, on what efforts are they doing in terms of resource mobilization? And then we'll close.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. I'll say something, and my other colleagues might also add on what I'm going to say. Indeed, as you have said, the concern was also raised by the committee in the sense that the cry was actually so pronounced in the reduction of funds allocated to the ministry. But then the question was also put to them as to how they are going to also help in trying to help the Ministry of Finance raise the much needed revenue that could also actually be help to their ministry. Their concern and their response was that indeed they are aware, and that's why they actually mentioned some of these issues that you have just alluded to, that probably if the funding was increased to them, it was going to see them to ensure that the implementation of key programs, such as the one that you have talked about over the electric vehicle battery value chain, and indeed the operationalization of special economic zones, was going to actually help generate more funds. They are aware that there was a concern from this committee that we need actually to ensure that, especially the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry and Zambia Development Agency, these are the institutions that are actually supposed to be in the forefront to help raise revenue from the various sectors in terms of small businesses that are actually lying out there in the country. Probably I would ask my colleagues if Honorable Chilundika or Honorable Mungandu can maybe add one or two.
Yeah, just briefly.
Briefly,
running out of time. Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Chair, if you look at page 12, I know you are specifically concerned with Ministry of Trade, Commerce, Trade and Industry. On page 12, if you look at Industrial and Enterprise Development, coming down commercial services and market analysis, we started seeing figures that are reasonably high, although not to the expected standards. And among the things that the responses that we got from the ministry is that Zambians, because of the drought situation, which has given us what I would call multiple effects not only food insecurity, but also energy insecurity, which has led to many Zambian enterprises scaling down their operations. And the formalization simply means bringing them within the dragnet of the taxation system. It should have meant actually milking more from already a cow that is struggling. That is the reason why on the revenue side they said they are considerate, because they can make those proposals and become very strict in terms of implementation as to who is supposed to pay tax. It will be the same Zambians who are struggling on the market that will start crying. So I think government took a human face according to the submission to leave the status quo. As the situation improves, no wonder we are saying, because I can say 99% dependent on hydro in terms of electricity generation. So if it doesn't rain again, you can imagine how can we, for example, go and tax it? Maybe they are not operating the way they are supposed to operate. So on the revenue side, Ministry of Commerce makes its revenue their submission. Going forward, place measures that are which are dovetailing to the system, where the energy sector should be seeking also to priority areas where it will have full potential, full impact. Subsidize. When subsidies have to come the way we are subsidizing in agriculture, we have to relook which on our national institution as well as policy.
Thank you. Vice Chair to appear before this committee. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir. Much obliged. We'll lay it on the table.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.